Hi, Heather.
Hi, Krista. How are you?
I'm good. We've been on chatting for like 3.5 hours
2 hours.
already. So
Yeah.
before I hit record, I was like, do we have a video in us or are we talked out? But I think we could probably talk all day if we really let
Probably, yeah.
ourselves. But
Yeah.
anyway, um, I wanted to pick your brain about a word that you mentioned to me just as we were coming on here, about how you had been in Toronto for the Occupy Wall Street movement, or the whatever the street is in
Occupy
Ontario
Toronto in that
that's
case. Yeah.
Occupy
Yeah.
Toronto.
Or Bay Street.
And someone mentioned there that they didn't want to build a leaderless movement. They wanted to build a leaderful movement. And it just struck me as being such a great counterpoint to, I think, some of what we see going on in the world. And even just reflecting on some of the things that have happened over the last week, um, and how people are tend to gravitate to individual leaders. They love to lift people up into these leadership positions for better or worse, and in equal measure, they often love to see those leaders fall, or others like to see those leaders fall. And I mean, we have talked about the Circle Ways emphasis on a leader in every chair. We've mentioned that before. Even our Leadership for Liminal Spaces program, we talked about part of the reason why we hesitated to use the word leader is because people have a lot of sort of preconceived notions about what that means. But tell me more about what it means to you to build a leaderful movement, which is, I think, something that we have been, even if we haven't said it out loud, something that we've been striving to do at the center. We have our alumni gathering coming up next week, and you and I have had very little to do with the organization of
Yeah.
it. I think we're maybe speaking like 3 times during the whole 4 day event, and other people are stepping in to provide different things. And it's just been really beautiful to witness that coming together, leading up to it. And I'm super excited to see what emerges while we're there. Um,
Yeah.
so I think maybe we've done it a little bit, built a leaderful movement.
As
But I'd love
best
to
we
hear you
can.
unpack that some more,
Yeah.
and what that looks like to you, and how you feel like that might help. I don't know. I want to say solve all the problems of the world, but that's me being, maybe a little overreaching. But
Yeah. One or two. We'll just start with the little ones we can
that's
we
right.
can
That's right.
reach. Yeah, I do think that we're 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 in this really interesting moment in the world where there's this kind of a there's a rise of authoritarianism again,
Yeah.
like, and that's a
Again.
historical kind of thing that comes back into the world every once in a while. Often when we talk a lot about liminal space, when there's
Yeah.
liminality going on and you want some security, you want someone to tell you that you're safe and protected and etc., then we will often look for who's the leader in the room, who can I trust, who's going to create some stability, and that's when
Yeah.
authoritarian people who are authoritarian in their leadership style will step in and take control and often be abusive and often as we see in authoritarian fascist kind of movements,
Yeah.
that kind of thing happens. So there's that swing, and that's present in the world right now, and we see this rising up, this fascist kind of movement, and it's not unfamiliar. Like, I think all of us,
Mm.
when we our nervous system is acting up, like, it's like I want a parent in the room. I want someone to look after me and make me feel safe. But at the same time, that only gets us to a certain place again and again in history. It
Yeah.
doesn't get us to real transformation and change, in at least not in the ways that we see transformation needing to happen in the world. And so I really believe in this, and you and I are so committed to this in our work. It's like, we're not here to build a guru culture. We're not here to like have people put us on a pedestal because they think
Yeah.
we're the ones with all the answers. We're not here to build a cult. We talk about ourselves as an anti-cult movement, and it's sort
Yeah.
of one of our ongoing, jokes that
Yeah.
maybe one day we will start a cult, but mostly just jokingly.
Yeah,
But
we'd
no,
be
the truth
terrible
of the
at it.
matter is like what's that?
We'd be terrible at maintaining
We
a
would
cult.
we would so fail at that. But that's what one of the driving kind of values that we hold at the center of the
Yeah.
center is like we want to be collaborative leaders. We want to bring people in to empower them into their leadership. And that's why when people started approaching us saying, we'd love to have alumni get together and can we create something like that? And our responded to them is like, we would love that to happen too. And we're happy to let you make it happen. And so we kind of just passed it back to the people that approached us about it, and they did really beautifully.
Yeah,
And I mean, we're so excited to have people from all over the world that are flying in next week to
totally.
gather at something we did not create, and we
Yeah.
intentionally didn't create it because we wanted the leadership to come from the collective.
Mhm.
And that's really really enacting the circle way of the belief in a leader in every chair is like, okay, this needs to come from the collective. This needs to be birthed so that other people hold it other than just us. And so
Mhm.
that we are not A, not fully responsible, and B, not fully to blame if things fall apart. It's a collectively held thing. And so I think that that's part of our visioning for what is needed more in the world, and more will bring a more meaningful transformation than what we're seeing, than the way we've envisioned leadership for much of like history, and especially at certain periods more than others. But yeah, so yeah, I'd love to engage with people of like, what does a leaderful movement look like? What does it mean? Because that's not necessarily building an easy movement. When the more leaders you bring
No,
into it, the more
no.
complex it is, the more you have to deal with complexity. We're not talking about building something that's going to be a magical utopia, because the more you get personalities and conflicts and etc. But at the same time, the possibility for creativity when people step into, oh no, I have some leadership here. I have something to contribute in a meaningful way. I can help move this. I don't have to wait for somebody else to do it. I think is what we're really trying to engage with.
Yeah. I think what can be really challenging for folks, I was just thinking about how I tend to gravitate to collaborative board games. Like I want to, if I'm going to play a board game, I want us all working together
Yeah.
towards a common goal. Whereas other people hate that and just want, like, they thrive on the competition. But I feel like
Yeah.
collaborative leadership requires a bit of an ego death that some folks are not prepared to engage in. And I say that having had to experience that multiple times on my own. Because, yeah, I mean, you get into a group and you get frustrated with people taking too long, or the process going too long, or people arguing about things, and you're like, forget it, I'll just do it myself, right?
Yeah.
But there is, yeah, it's challenging to put your ego aside and allow the collaborative magic to happen, and to
Hmm.
trust in mystery in that sense, and that the
Yeah.
mystery of the we, as I often refer to it.
Yeah.
um yeah, so how what are some of the ways we can help overcome some of that ego stress when you're moving from a competitive environment, which is what capitalism thrives on, to more of a collaborative kind of
Mm.
environment, which is, I don't even know what to name the new thing that will have to emerge after
Yeah.
capitalism runs its course. Because I think the words we currently have are kind of not adequate. But
Yeah, they're
yeah,
rooted
I
in
don't
an old
know.
narrative. I think you're
Yeah,
right. I think we need to continue to evolve our language to, and some of the language I keep turning to is the language of the ecology of
yes.
ecosystems. Like, how do we build ecosystems where all are
Mhm.
contributing and playing their part, and how do we become more like a forest? And I, I learned so much from being with trees. Like the trees are
Yeah,
out there doing their part and providing oxygen and stuff, but they are only playing one part. And there's nothing in the forest that is, when you're in a circle of an ecosystem, there's none that's always at the top, because
right.
there's always some predator or something that will, like, even the lion in the forest or the jungle or whatever, the
Yeah,
lion, it will at some point, it will still die, and bugs and fungi and stuff will
vultures
eat its
and
body and it will serve the forest in that way, continuously.
right.
So there's always a contribution and a, like, you're giving and taking in a forest ecology, and you're having to contribute into the cycle. And so I think speaking more of that language, the language of ecology, the language of mycelium, is helpful, a way of reframing, getting us out of mechanistic capitalist
Yeah,
systems that are designed in a certain way that has really built humanity's progress, but is also going to create humanity's limitation. So how do we
right.
get back to that? We don't have to get rid of all of our technology or anything and go live in the
Oh.
forest, but how do we reimagine ourselves as part of the ecosystem, part of the collective, as kin? I think bringing back
Yes.
some of what Robin Wall Kimmerer teaches about, can we, get into kinship relationship with each other, and a kinship relationship, in her book Service Berry, she talks about, like, the berries are going to offer you things and expecting you to eat some of them, and then reseed them in your feces somewhere else, or like,
Yeah,
you're
sure.
contributing to that, but they don't expect you to take everything, and you're in a kinship relationship with those berries, allowing some for the birds, allowing, uh, being part of that ecosystem. So how do we imagine ourselves playing a role, empower ourselves to see ourselves in that way, that we are always playing a role in the ecosystem. We don't get to check out or just be a consumer in the system. We have to actually contribute something. So that's some of what I rely on in terms of relanguaging. And I think there's some
Yeah.
really interesting voices that are relanguaging some of this new imagination, or not, maybe it's not new, but this reimagining of the capitalist systems that do at some point need to crumble so that something new can evolve.
Yeah, I just keep thinking about the story you told me about the tree that you have seen that a beaver is slowly
Yeah.
beginning to take down. And yeah, I mean that tree, whether it has an ego or not, doesn't have a choice in the matter of being taken down and repurposed by this beaver, both for food
Yeah.
and possibly for shelter. So,
Yeah, this has
so
been one of
yeah.
my kind of meditations. I spend a lot of time, and I'm writing about this, for my next book, but I spend a lot of
Mhm.
time with the nurse logs in the forest, the ones that have fallen and
Yes.
died, and they're on the forest floor, and they're feeding the forest and stuff. And there is this one area right by the lake shore where beavers have, since I've moved here, one tree came down, and others have been chewed at, and there's another one now that's being chewed at, and it looks like it'll probably come down. And I sit with the tree sometimes, and I feel a little bit of grief on the tree's behalf, knowing that, you're the next to go, you're going to be falling. But the beavers live off of the inner bark of the tree. That's why they take them down. That's their
Hmm.
food
Hmm.
source, is the inner bark. And then they also build their houses out of trees, and dams and stuff like that. So they use the trees for those purposes. And I think it feels sad if you see the tree as an individual in the forest. That
Right.
feels sad that the individual tree is dying, but that tree is part of a collective. It's not,
Hmm.
it's there to contribute something to the collective, and the beaver is part of the collective. And so if you see the dying of one to serve the whole, it changes your perspective on what's happening to that tree.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because I know in your last post you talked about how you were you were going to write a whole post about death and then you decided it was kind of depressing. And yet every time I talk to you about death, I always come away feeling more hopeful.
I
So
It's not
I
wrong.
right? And
Yeah.
I think that's great. And I think yeah, just sort of what you say, like acknowledging our place and our kinship not just with each other, but with the other than human world, and being okay and coming to a place of acceptance of this is how it is. Like things
Yeah.
grow, things
Yeah.
die, and then something else grows and something else dies, and that's the
Yeah.
cycle of things. And it's not
Yeah.
as abnormal or terrifying as I think the algorithms want us to believe all the time. And not even just the algorithms, but I think religion and economies like have
Yeah.
all been designed to make us terrified of this regenerative cycle that, yeah.
And coming back to where we started, we're talking about leaderful
Hmm.
movements. I think so much of that messaging is rooted in a story of separation and
Yeah.
supremacy. That I am separate
100%.
from you, I'm separate from the ecology, I'm separate from the forest. And as a person, and particularly as a white person, I have some supremacy over the other beings.
Yeah.
But that's a lonely story, and that's one that's going to be fear-based because then you're
Yeah.
always protecting your position and you're not trusting what you're separate from. If you actually re-engage with the collective, it dissipates some of that fear because now you know you believe in the others contributing too, and you believe that everybody is actually showing up for a purpose and to serve the collective. When you move back into that and move into communities that function in that way, your trust level in the world starts to grow, and it does change. And that's why you say, like, you can talk about death in a more hopeful way because it's like, oh, I've got a different narrative now that's
Yeah.
running at the core. And we're going really kind of deep into stuff that I've been writing a lot about lately, and people will see more of this surfacing. But I do
Yeah.
believe that yeah. To me,
Yeah.
it feels hopeful. It feels like a beautiful place to stand.
I think so too. Um, yeah, here's the part where we pitch all of our things. Our How to Hold Space Foundation program is open. Love to have you
Yeah, and
join that
certification program too for those who've already
certification.
been through the foundation program and
We
we
are very excited. We get to spend some dedicated time with some past certified practitioners next week, and that's going to be pretty amazing to hear about
yeah,
how they've been using holding space in their lives. Um, yeah, so if you would like to join that community, things are bubbling and brewing there. So we would
yeah,
love for more people to be a part of that. Leadership for Liminal Spaces is coming up as well. Our 8th webinar, I think we're at 7th or 8th. I can't
yeah.
even remember
8th.
anymore.
No, at least
8th.
8th. Yeah,
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 number 8. So that'll be beginning of October. We bumped that a week because we will be away next week
yeah.
enjoying
And
some
some of
in
the
person.
topics we're talking about today about the
Yes.
collaborative leadership is going to be
Yeah.
part of that next webinar. So if you want to go deeper in this, come join us.
Yeah. We are also, Heather is going to be speaking with some school administrators in the East
Mm,
Coast in the next little while. So we're really excited to be able to share some stuff with them as well. So if you have a group of people that want to go a little deeper with some of these topics, we are for hire and we would be
yeah,
happy to come and parse some of this out. We need more leaderful places. So if that's you,
yeah,
hit us up because this is a topic that is on our minds all the time. Anything
yes.
else, Heather? Did I forget anything?
I know, I think you covered everything. If you happen to be one of those people that I'm going to be speaking to in Halifax in October, one of the school administrators, I'm just sending you, and any school people that are teachers and stuff
Mm-hmm.
right now too, going back to school. I'm just sending you love and respect
Yeah.
and hopefulness for for the spaces you're
Yeah.
trying to hold in the
Yeah.
classrooms.
Absolutely. Those are
Yeah.
yeah, brave souls, braver than I could be.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we will see you. I don't know if we'll be able to do another video next week because we will be
Yeah, probably not. My guess is next week
probably
we
not.
probably won't
Although
do
we
one.
might be able to do a quick one in person because we'll have a day together, the two of us,
We might
IRL,
just go out
as the
there
kids
and
say.
sit on one of our nurse
Sit on the
logs
nurse log
and
and
have a little
do some
chat.
musings on the nurse log.
Yeah,
That would be great.
we'll see.
All right.
Maybe we
We'll
will.
see
Yeah.
how ambitious or if we remember to hit record because we'll be too busy talking. Until next time, have a wonderful week and hope you had a great little coffee break with us.